5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Hey everybody! In the past 2 years we have paddled to almost every nook and cranny around our island Kirk base, and we're running out of new islands to paddle to in the northern Adriatic. So while I was searching for a new paddle destination on Google Maps, I noticed a small island shaped like a fish, or to be even more precise, it's shaped like a hand-drawn whale from some cartoon. That would be a sick drone shot. It's almost as good of a reason to paddle somewhere as any. I have never paddled in this area before, and the distance of the trip that hits like 8 different islands was just right for 3 to 4 days of paddling. When the stars aligned, the weekend northern winds finally died down. After like 4 consecutive weekends, it was go time. It was also the height of the heat wave, so we started super early. It's always hard to get up in the morning, but with morning seas smooth as a mirror, you're never sorry you did it. The fishing boats were mirroring their colors in the early morning light. There is a special kind of peace on the sea early in the morning. No waves, no boats disturbing the sea surface, no motor noises in the distance, even the noisy seagulls disappear once you go further away from shore. The only thing you can find early in the morning is a bunch of helium-filled balloons lying on the surface. Wait, what? I have no idea how they got there, but I quickly used one to explain what our paddle plan is.
This is Pag Island. This island with lots of trees is, island. And we're going to the island with rocks, with lots of rocks. The dry one over there in the distance.
I let one of them go and I tied the rest of them to my kayak so I could throw them in the garbage. But after an hour of paddling they decided they had a different idea. They somehow untied themselves and flew up into the sky, probably to go and surprise someone else. It was around 11 AM when we paddled to the fish-shaped island. The first thing you need to do in a heatwave in the middle of summer with not a cloud in the sky is make some kind of shelter from the sun. We usually bring this huge cotton beach blanket and then we build some kind of a frame for the blanket from the driftwood we found on the beach. Sometimes this turns out really great, sometimes there's hardly any wood and useful materials and we have to improvise with rocks and our paddles. The second thing you need to do is cook something. Since we started super early, we skipped breakfast. And of course, the third thing you need to do is pour hot water all over your beach towel. After early lunch, it was time to cool down. With daily temperatures at 36 degrees Celsius, cooling down means going snorkeling for at least half an hour and diving down to the bottom of the sea where the water is cooler. Walking on the beaches of these small islands, I always feel like an explorer. Like I'm walking across places that have yet to be touched by human influence. But then I see all the garbage on the beach and yes, they were touched alright. The first and most important thing that makes snorkeling and freediving fun is clear water. If the water is really clear, then underwater visibility is great, and you feel like you're in this huge hole just floating around. The second thing that makes snorkeling fun are different underwater features, like these concrete blocks here. And the third thing are the animals. Schools of fish, jellyfish, urchins, corals, and other animals will make your dive interesting. After we cooled down, it was time to get out of the water and try and catch a few fish, and to check how this island really looks like from the air. Launching the drone from the kayak is a bit sketchy, and if anything would go wrong, the drone would return to the place where it took off, which would by then be right in the middle of the sea, and that would not be good. So it's always a bit stressful. I really hope you like these shots. The island is really shaped like a fish or a whale, and if you set your tent where the tail starts, you have literally 2 sandy beaches on your doorstep. Walk a few steps to the right and you can go swimming on one side of the island, and walk a few steps to the left and you can jump into the sea on the other side. How cool is that? After we were done with the drone acrobatics, we threw our trolling rigs into the sea and started paddling up and down the island coast. We caught 2 fish that I have no idea how they are called in English, but they were both very tasty. They always are right out of the water. Around 7:30 in the evening, the summer evening time starts. It's that sweet spot time when the sun is no longer strong enough to be hot, but the air is just so warm. You can just be anywhere and enjoy the evening hues of the sky, the sea, like you're in this super comfortable and safe place, floating in warm air, and then the rats arrive. Great! Small islands around here are often filled with rats. I'm not sure what they eat, probably nothing, because although they were kind of cute, they all seemed super hungry and super eager to check if we have any leftovers from our dinner. But I'm getting ahead of myself. When we're done enjoying the evening, it was time to find a place to pitch our tent. Finding a place that is leveled enough and without any big rocks can sometimes be a challenge. A challenge that turns into a half an hour build job where you take your flip-flop and use it to move around like 1 ton of sand and rocks. If you can find a wooden board and use it instead of the flip-flop, you're already a well-equipped builder. But this time, preparing the place for the tent was just a matter of pulling out one wild garlic plant and we were set. Pulling out the plant still took longer than it takes to set up this super cool tent. 3 seconds later, the tent was ready with both doors open. Door check, Taya, please. Through one door you can check the left beach and through the other the right beach. This also gives bugs and mosquitoes 2 options to enter the tent, so it's a win-win for everybody. We slept like babies that night, right until the morning. Around 4:30 in the morning we realized that we and the seagulls have a different idea about when the morning starts. Or to be more exact, I was the one that realized that. Taya uses earplugs at night, so she didn't realize a thing. She just slept through all the seagulls screaming like a baby. Around 6 AM, I got so mad, I went outside and told them to be quiet because people are sleeping here. To my surprise, it worked. If you don't speak Sigulese, this is what needs to be said. After breakfast and another snorkeling cooldown, it was time for us to move. We were late, and I knew it was going to be a hot paddle, but right now the time was around 9 AM and it was still peaceful and not too hot, and the water was just so clear. I had to film it. And after some more paddling, it was still just so amazingly clear, I had to film it again. And then I saw my shadow on the bottom of the sea, you know, because the water was just so clear, and I had to film that as well. Sometimes the water is so clear that you get vertigo from looking down into the sea. It feels like you're floating on air and you might fall down to the bottom of the sea. It's the moment like this that make you think, damn, this sea kayaking thing is so cool. While I was thinking about these things, it got hotter and hotter. Usually during the day at least some thermal wind starts to blow to cool you down, but not today. Not a single molecule of air moved. The last few kilometers of paddling we were sweating like dogs at a Chinese restaurant. And after all the crystal clear water and paradise beaches on the way, we had to cool down in this muddy boat parking spot. It still felt good. It felt even better when a local guy that was taking care of the sailboats parked in the bay brought us 2 ice-cold beers. I think he saw that we needed them. And it felt even better when another guy arrived on his quad bike and started talking to us by saying, "Hey guys, I follow you on Instagram, so I had to come to say hello when I saw that you were here. I love your photos." This almost never happens, but when it does, I never know what to say. But we started talking and Sina took us on his quad bike over the hill to the small town on the other side of Olip. This is the island where he was born. Everybody here was just so nice. Thank you again for the ride. Small towns on small islands that have no cars whatsoever always have this super peaceful laid-back vibe that I find really cool. Makes you imagine how it would be to live here, like forever. We used the second ice cold beer of the day to wash down the best damn grilled squid that we ever had. After delicious grilled squid, we were so tired we fell asleep on the benches in the middle of the town in the shade of a huge tree where old locals gather to talk about things, like two bums, and it felt good. Oh, and the only shot that we have from all this is this dog. Hi dog. In the evening it was time to move on and find a place to sleep, without rats if possible. The first bay we checked was full of sailing boats, but the next one was one of the most beautiful empty blue colored sea bays we have ever seen. This is what swimming here was like from air and from sea level. We learned from the previous day mistakes and the next day we again started super early. It was such a beautiful morning, clear blue skies, calm sea, until it wasn't. We have never experienced fog at sea. I haven't even seen it from the land. It was something completely new. It was kind of weird paddling and not really knowing where we are going, disappearing into the fog until we were just dark silhouettes and then completely gone in just a matter of a few meters. But the bright round orb of the sun was visible even through the fog, so we could have some sense of the paddling direction. We just kept the sun on our left side. I can imagine that without the sun and without modern GPS navigation, you would get lost in this kind of fog in a matter of minutes. After an hour or so, the fog was dissolved by the hot sun, and we arrived to the pit stop island in the middle of our today paddle. As soon as we approached the island, I caught a nice tasty fish. Whoa, there are fish here! We both threw our trolling rigs into the sea and paddled around the island a few times, but no luck. So it was time to move on. What followed was the longest stretch of open sea paddling during our trip. Paddling over the open sea is boring, because nothing really happens. There is no coast passing you by where you can observe little beaches, cliffs, seagulls. When paddling next to the shore, you can see your progress. You can see that you're moving forward. But when you paddle over the open sea, everything is the same. It's the same for an hour or for 2 hours. So during long open sea stretches, we use different methods to pass the time. These are a few more effective ones that I can recommend. The first one is the dancing in the boat method. Then there is this all-time favorite, the just lie back and wait method. Then we have the leg kicking method, the pedal balancing method, the legs up paddling method, and I think I like the lie down method best, so let me show it again. After 10 days of paddling over the open sea, we finally made it to shore. It was another super hot day, and when I saw a wooden driftwood tent in the distance, I knew it was going to be a good beach. By the way, another sea kayaking rule. One thing we also noticed is that the thing you need right now is never in your vicinity. It's always in the kayak somewhere. No matter how much you plan and put everything you might need in our dry tight bags and backpacks and bring them to the tent, the next thing you will need will always be in the kayak. Did you see the bread? I think it's in the kayak. Where are the forks? In the kayak. Did you see my toothbrush? Yeah, it's in the kayak. You get the idea. This has to be some kind of metaphysics law. So with the shade set, I could be lying in the shade and resting, but I cannot stand still for a long time, so the project of the day was to repair this abandoned chair so it would be sittable. Okay, it kind of worked. The day was so hot that even in the evening it was impossible to sit in the sun. Even lunch had to wait until evening. After a few days of paddling and successful fishing, we always feel like fish tails are looking out of our ears. If I have to eat one more fish, I will start growing scales. A good beef meat goulash with some bread dumplings is not your usual sea kayaking beach meal. but it would really hit the spot if we didn't burn it. Yeah, so it was just good instead of great. Finally the heat gave in and the evening sun painted the sky in all the possible hues of orange. Then the visitors arrived. These islands are often filled with sheep, and I'm not really sure if they are owned by someone or they are completely wild. Sheep are one of the rare mammals that can drink seawater when there is no fresh water available, which is, I guess, quite often on these sun-scorched dry islands. You can often see them coming to the beach in the evening and drinking straight from the sea. When they notice they have an audience, they quickly moved along the beach to make room for the second usual guest, the rats. This time it was only one rat, and a very shy one. After spending a few days on the sea, and when your belly is full, it's no longer hot and you don't have a care in the world, you do what pirates would do. You open a bottle of whiskey and start saying "Arr!" This was like the perfect sea kayaking takeoff spot. Calm sea and sandy bottom, so you can easily walk barefoot and climb into the kayak. Pedal a little, arrange all the things that you might need during the pedal, close the cover, clip in the pedal, and off we go towards our last day of the trip. 2 more small islands and we will be back on land. We again started super early because the forecast didn't look that good. Windy the whole day, with the wind growing stronger throughout the day. Well, it was completely calm in the morning, so the forecast was wrong. On the first island we were greeted by a flock of sorry-looking sheep hiding in a tiny shadow of a rocky wall. The island couldn't be more than 100 meters long. We left them some leftover sunflower seeds on the pier. I hope they liked them. It was still early in the morning when we were again greeted by the fishing boats reflecting in the calm sea of this tiny fishing port. And just when we landed, the wind started to blow. Perfect timing, perfect trip. I'm just so hyped after these trips. I was saying hello to all the people passing by, sharing my stoke and good vibes. I greeted like 50 people, sending them positive energy, and none of them waved back. What a bunch of self-centered assholes.
Forever's how long they'll stay. Brighter days are on their way.